So good evening and welcome to True You Tuesday. It's Tuesday the 4th of February. And tonight I'm going to have a conversation with you about overcoming the fear of being seen. And so I'll be sharing 3 of the main reasons why people are afraid of showing up and being seen as their true self, and just 3 little tips, simple tips that I use to help me show up more in as the true me. And I'll also share my one true thing practice that might help you if like me you have that fear of showing up as your true self. So I went to a beautiful vision board making event on the weekend, and one of the little cards that I picked as part of the setting up process for working on our intentions for the year was a message, and it said to me, keep going. It said, keep going, focus on progress, not perfection. So tonight I'm showing up on a regular Tuesday, not perfect, no makeup, had a swim this afternoon. And it's not about, and being your true self is not about being perfect. Who's perfect? And building the confidence to be your true self is a series of small steps. So it's just about focus on taking those small steps and making progress rather than focusing on perfection. So before I get into the points that I wanted to share, I did some journaling earlier, so I'll share those things. I just wanted to, I was reflecting on, share with you incidents that I was reflecting on earlier, and it was when I shared my first ever blog post online. I started a blog, this is about 10 years ago actually, and it was on my Clear the Crap page. And it was one of the most scariest things I've ever done, to actually click the button which was to send. I'd written the blog post, been vulnerable in it, poured out my heart, and to actually press the button to make it go live, to share an authentic piece of who I am with the world, was so freaking scary. I had an anxiety attack. I pressed send and I couldn't breathe. And I didn't know what to do. And think about it brings it all up for me again, because it's so hard to be ourselves. Why? Well, I'll share that shortly, but on this particular day, I didn't know what to do. I rang my best friend and I said, oh my God, I just did something. I just shared a part of me online and it's freaking scary. And so I went over and found her, and you know, there's nothing like a hug from someone in a safe space when you're doing something scary. And so that worked for me. But why do we fear being seen? Well, it's because from a very first age, we are taught that approval equals safety, right? And so we do things to try and fit in, because if we think that if we are like everybody else, then we're safe. And so we hide aspects of who we truly are to fit in and be accepted. We don't want to stand out. We don't want to risk not belonging. And it's unfortunately our conditioning, our family environment perhaps, our programming that teaches us to be that way for many of us, a lot of us. Why do we fear being seen? We fear that our true self won't be enough. So we develop filters and masks because we feel that without those filters and masks, we won't be valued. And where does that come from? It can come from experiences of rejection, being shamed, bullied at school as a child. We all have those experiences, and it's often unconscious. We don't really know where it comes from, but we have this, we carry the wounds of our past, and they affect how we show up and how confident we are to be vulnerable and share our true self. But when you look at those reasons as to why we are afraid of being seen, it's not so much about being seen, it's about being accepted. And so the fear of being seen is more about the fear of not being accepted. And what we need to realize is that, as I've realized over the years, is that I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm not going to be accepted and liked and valued by everybody, and that's okay. Learning to realize that that's okay is hard. It's a big thing. I actually shared online a while back a beautiful piece. It wasn't mine, a piece of poetry about you're not everybody's cup of tea. I'll put it here on my page as well, because that really resonated with a lot of people. So how do we start to overcome this fear of being seen as our true, authentic selves? Journaling before, I come up with three little simple steps of how we can start to be more real, more true, more authentic. And the first step is really just to start small, but start real. Start small, but start real. Share just one tiny truth about yourself. Maybe it's an opinion that you hold, or a value, a story, a feeling that you might have that normally you would keep inside. Share that, but find a safe space to do so, whether it's with a trusted friend, a partner, and that's it. That's the first step. Okay, is just get something out, and maybe it doesn't have to even be with another person. Start small, but start real. It might even be just writing it in your journal. It might be just saying it out aloud to yourself in the mirror. A truth about yourself, and it might just be something as simple as saying or sharing with somebody, I really, really like to sing, but I don't share it with anybody. Or maybe it's another truth about yourself that, well, I'll share one of mine. It can be something really vulnerable. Okay, so I like to play on my phone, not social media, but like playing a game as a form of relaxation in the evenings. Now, I tell myself that it's relaxation, but really it could be an addiction. So I own that. I recognize that, and I'm taking steps to change that pattern of behavior. That's an example. Another example for me, just one small thing, one small truth. I love my dog. I really, really love my dog. And for people who know me, that's really quite bizarre, because I used to be a dog hater. I used to be very much just a cat person. But my fear is that something will happen to her. Getting all emotional again. I've had a big day, hence showing up like this. yeah, it's a real fear that something would happen to her because I love her so much. I don't want to miss her. I don't want to lose her. Anyway, so that's the first one way in which you can take that first step to overcoming that fear of being seen. Another thing is to reframe rejection as redirection. So what we normally feel is a point of rejection, somebody not accepting us the way we would like to be accepted. Change your perception and see it as a guide for life. Okay? As we said before, you're not everyone's cup of tea, so not everyone's going to resonate with you. But instead of seeing that rejection as proof that you're not enough, see it as a way, reframe it so you say, well, actually, if somebody thinks that about me, they're not my people. And that gives you more clarity as to who your people truly are. And I've recently had a great experience in that regard with being rejected within the last 12 months by someone who I loved for all of my life. And in situations like that, where you are rejected. Sorry, I was distracted by something on the screen. In the situation where you really, really love someone, say a family member, do you just love them because they're family? And you've got that connection? Whilst if they were a friend and something happened, would it be easier to handle the rejection than if it was a family member? So in this circumstance, by reframing the rejection, it helped me to realize that this particular person may not have actually been that truly connected to me at all, for all of my life, all that time I've known them. So reframing, lost connection. I think I'm back. Hopefully I'm back. So that second point that I was sharing before we lost that quick connection was to reframe rejection as a prompt to redirect what's important and what's valuable for you in your life. I hope that makes sense. If not, please feel free to ask a question, and maybe in a comment below. I might not get to it now, but I'll come back to it definitely and provide further clarity. The third little tip for overcoming that fear of being seen is to actually celebrate every little act that you do when you do put yourself out there. There is so much value in celebration. Acknowledge even the smallest moments when you are connecting to that real self within and allowing yourself to put that out there. Yeah. The more that you reinforce that being you is safe, the easier it's going to get over time. Yeah. And how we can practice these 3 steps of starting small but starting real, reframing rejection into redirection, and then celebration is with my one true thing practice. So that's 3 steps as well, or 3 steps tonight. The one true thing practice, very simply, is step 1, think of one true thing about yourself like I explained before with my examples about the dog and singing, is start small and identify something about yourself that you don't normally share. And then share that thing in a low pressure way. Saying it aloud to yourself, telling a friend, writing it in your journal, bring it up in a conversation with somebody. And then step 3 is to assess how you feel after you have shared that one true thing about yourself. And just remind yourself that being authentic is built. It's built one little step at a time. We're not going to be able to, in a flash, just put ourselves out there and express who we really are without the masks and filters straight away. It's a process. It's a series of steps, and doing the one true thing practice in a safe environment is a way to get there. I love bringing women together in circle to create that safe space where they feel comfortable to have a vulnerable share and possibly share one true thing about themselves. I was just thinking that perhaps my circle on the 15th of Feb could be an opportunity for you to come to a safe space to share one true thing about you as we do my stone wrapping crafting exercise. And this is a beautiful crafting activity where we create a little magic by infusing our intention into a stone and wrapping it in beautiful organic materials to imbue energy and power into that intention. So if your intention, like me, is to show up more as my real self, to overcome that fear of being seen, then maybe that can be an intention that you put into your stone wrap. So it's here on my page, that event. So that could be an opportunity for you to find that safe space to practice the one true thing practice. So I'll leave it there for tonight, and just want to reinforce that every time that you share just one small truth, one small thing about the true essence of you, you actually reclaim a piece of yourself, of who you really are, because that inner essence of who you are has been suppressed. And so sharing little by little, more and more pieces of yourself will reclaim, bring you back to feeling that freedom that you had as a child. And there's nothing more valuable than that feeling of just being you. Yeah. And realizing being seen is not about proving your worth. You don't have anything to prove. It's about just allowing yourself to exist fully as who you are. Giving yourself that permission to be who you are. The world doesn't need a perfect version of you. Remember my little note at the beginning that I that I shared? Focus on progress and not perfection. And that's your beingness is a work in progress. And none of us are perfect. So you can't be perfect. Showing up authentically, there's nothing perfect about it. The world doesn't need a perfect version of you. It needs the real you. I see you. I see me. And I see that we are both all that is. Start small, but start today.